Hey YouTube, today I'm going to be doing a deck profile on probably the most interesting deck that I put together this time around. So this one is my newly updated Genesis, specifically the Fenrir with the GB2, or the Stride focused one. So this one, at first I wasn't sure how I felt about this deck, but then after I actually decided to build it fully and see how it plays, I actually really like it a lot. I actually find the new, the Revelation keyword very interesting, and it's a nice fresh take on how to play Genesis. It's almost like playing almost like an entirely new clan. And we'll get into some of the new mechanics of how the Revelation skill works. But to start off, for Mythic Beast Fenrir, I never really liked this card all that much when it first came out. I still prefer Regalia back when he was new. If you saw my deck profile with him before, I was running him with CEO Yggdrasil, the Regalia Legion, which was probably the better Legion out of the two Regalia Legions. But I took her out at long last when I decided to really make this deck pure Revelation and just Stride focused and not try to use Yggdrasil as a backup. I did actually run Yggdrasil originally in here, but I found that it didn't really fit. It was too slow. I didn't like having to run Norn at 3 copies as a grade 2, taking up a bunch of space, and then I had to run the Regalia Heal and the Regalia Critical. That wasn't that big of a problem, but I mean, it's taking up a bunch of space. That was mainly done so that I could make use of these cards, especially this card, but it's too slow, it's not really needed, and you really want to play the Revelation style anyway. So the other grade 3 is Ice Crest Goddess Svava, or Vava, I'm not sure how to say the name, but it has Revelation, and the nice thing about the Revelation skill, unlike almost all the other keywords in Vanguard, the Revelation one is not GB restricted. All the cards that I've seen that have Revelation are not GB restricted. And this one's no exception. So this is really nice as a Vanguard or Rearguard. It's a much better backup than Yggdrasil, mainly because I don't want to run the Legion mate. And yeah, it has a very good main phase GB1 skill as well. That can just basically make it 16k. Soul Blast 3 normals, it gets plus 5k, and then you can draw a card. Sometimes I've seen people misplay. I've seen the Soul Blast triggers, and I have to point that out. But that's the only drawback, but it's still a very good card. For grade 2s, for Boulder, Fetter, Gjoll. So Gjoll is probably the second best grade 2 in here, but he is one of the main cards that works really well when Fenrir is your Vanguard. So 4 of him is kind of a must-do. You can run 3 if you're going to try to tech in some other stuff. But really, 4 is probably the best way to go. You want to maximize your Revelation skill cards. That's one of the key ways to play the deck. That's the other reason why I didn't want to run Yggdrasil, because he doesn't have the Revelation skill. Next, probably the best grade 2, and I can't believe this is a common, is Battle Maiden Kotonoha. So she is probably my new favorite grade 2 Genesis card. So she has the Revelation skill, so when you place her, Revelation skill is when you place the unit on the rearguard circle, and remember it's rearguard, not Vanguard. You look at the top card of the deck, and you can choose to either soul charge it, or you can not, you just put it back. And then if you chose to soul charge, then you have to rest one of your rearguards. So that combos really well with her other auto skill, which is basically the rearguard skill of when a card is put in the soul, she gets 1000 power. Then if it was from Revelation, she gets 1000 more power. So every time you soul charge with the Revelation skill, she gets 2000 power. So she's basically your 11k attacker. She's basically the beat stick in the deck that gets really, really strong. This guy also does get some pretty good power and a good effect of allowing you to draw for Soul Blast 3. But he does require that you have Fenrir as the Vanguard in order for him to do that when he's placed on R. But we still run 4 copies of him because you want to maximize the effectiveness of being able to use that skill. And then the other grade 2 is really an open spot. I've seen some people run what I'm running here, which is 3 Gleiphnir. But other people argue that he's not really needed. He can make you deck out. You could run the The card that she replaced, which is basically, I forgot what its name was, but it's like a green rare from set 4 that when something Soul Blasted it gets 1,000. It's like the grade 2 version of Hati, but that's not really needed. And I like Gleiphnir because he can potentially draw you a card, and he still does work well with Kotonoha in the sense that he can make her a 12k attacker even just by soul charging 3 without even having to... I mean, he doesn't have Revelation, but whatever. So, still pretty good. Alternate grade 3. Or grade 2. For grade 1s, 4, Hel, the Unflip Perfect Guard. Genesis, just like Grand Blue, for some reason did not get a new Sentinel card, or at least a Perfect Guard. Like, some of these clans got weird Quintet walls and stuff, but they don't really see people using those. Next, 4 Mythic Beast, Skoll. I've become one of those type of people that like always runs 4 Stride Fodder along with the 4 Perfect Guards. So these have become like staple in decks that have the card that they can actually search, because this is basically this Vanguard is your winning image. You have a higher likelihood of losing to somebody that is riding their proper grade 3 if you're riding your alternate grade 3. It doesn't mean that you'll always lose. It's not like you're guaranteed to lose, but it's like your chances of winning are a lot harder or stacked against you if you're not running it. So 4 of this. If I open up with these 2, I'm going to use this to search Fenrir. I always do, because it's very essential. He's a very, very good GB2 skill. Next, 4 Shackle Fetter. So if you've seen other Genesis builds with this guy, people are clamoring saying this is like the best grade 1, and that is so true. When I was playing against people that have never seen this card in action before, they have no idea what he was doing. They thought it was like cheating. They had to like ask to see the card, and they kept reading the card, trying to figure out how it works. But basically, he's got Revelation. He's your grade 1 with Revelation, and he has the Soul effect, where you can put him on the bottom of the deck. So the nice thing about him is he prevents deck out. When you do that, you stand one of your rear guards, and that unit gets 3,000. Then if you've got Fenrir as the Vanguard, which is again the reason why Fenrir is so important to be the Vanguard, you can soul charge 2, choose one of your other units. I mean, it could be the same unit that you stood, and you can give it 3,000 power. So very, very good. Works very well with her. Works really good at just like replacing itself. It's like a much better Dimension Creeper, the card that that Dark Irregulars have. So Dark Irregular players saw me using this card and they thought that they were like, this is like way better. This is like a much better Dimension Creeper. It's like, why didn't we get anything like this? But yeah, 4 of him. He's like 4 is a must. You must at least run 3 of this. And then 2 of the Mythic Beasts, Hati. Honestly, the remaining grade 1 spot, you could come up with some interesting ideas. I just stuck with the generic Hati. I didn't want to take it out. And it's still pretty good because you Soul Blast 6 or 3 typically. So he works pretty well with Vangrandir as well as Fenrir's GB2 and stuff like that. So with him behind Fenrir and you use Fenrir's skill, that can make him your 10k. So he essentially, this makes 21 with the critical, and they can't use grade 1s or higher. So 2 of him is pretty good in here. For the trigger lineup, it's very interesting. I'm running 3 Goddess of Sound Sleep. Tahro, I like her a lot. She is similar to this guy. The only difference is his is main phase in soul effect to return to the deck. Hers is when she gets soul blasted from the soul. Well, first of all, she has Revelation. So she's a stand trigger with the Revelation skills. If you ever have to call her to the rearguard circle, for whatever reason, she activates Revelation. So she works with Kotonoha. It's like really good. But on top of that, when she's soul blasted, you put her on the bottom of the deck, and then you stand one of your rearguards. So it's a stand trigger that can stand stuff when getting soul blasted. So that's like amazing. So there's a reason why I'm only running 3, and it's because of my trigger ratio. I am running 3 of the Dreaming Dragon. This card is very essential in here. It's essentially Fiber Jar from Yu-Gi-Oh! For the Genesis clan. That's the easiest way I can explain this card. It's your card that prevents deck out. You recover your whole drop zone, put it at the end of the turn, GB1, you put this on the top of the deck, then you take your whole drop zone, put it into the deck, shuffle the deck, and then if you return 10 from the drop zone, actually, if 10 or more cards were returned, yeah, then you draw a card. So that's 6 stands. So you can probably guess what the rest of the trigger lineup is. So I'm running my 3 Thviti. I only pulled 3 of these. So when I was making the trigger lineup, it was interesting because originally I was gonna do like 4 stand of her, and I wasn't gonna run this at all. Or then I was gonna do. Then I realized how all this deck is gonna deck out so bad. So then I was gonna do like 2 of her and 2 of this, and then I was gonna run like my typical 8 criticals. But I only had 3 of these. And I couldn't stand like running that one like vanilla critical. So I thought, you know what? How about we just bump both of these up to 3 each and run 6 critical. So that works pretty good considering this on stride skill has inherent critical with or not on stride. The GB2 skill has inherent critical with guard restriction, which is super good. So that way you don't need to run that many criticals. So 6 critical and 6 stand. And the 4 heals. It works pretty good. I like this trigger lineup a lot. And then I am running the new Fetter Creator Von. It works really good in here because of all the revelation skills. You can run the other guy, but the original one that came out last year, I forgot his name, Lading. But Lading's not really needed because Fenrir's on stride skill will still be able to do its thing for a couple of turns. So, and this guy just works so good with your revelation skills. So for the stride deck, this is where it gets really interesting. I am running 2 Tire. Typically I only find myself striding him once, but because I do have room, since this is not Regalia, I don't have to run all of these cards anymore. There's room for a second one of him. And I don't know, I've never had to stride him more than once, but it's good to have that because he does have the look at the top card skill. Because I am still kind of on a budget here, so I still only have 2 Vanguard. This card is really hard to find right now for some reason. I was trying to get 2 more, but I can't find him anywhere and nobody wants to give him up. So, I still only got 2 of him. But he's still one of your good, like, mid-game cards, or I guess Vanguards. 2 Doombrace. Doombrace is really good. A lot of people say you need to run 4 of this. I disagree. I think 2 is enough. Because 2, and then you probably will need to use this guy as a first stride, and then this guy and Vanguard together. That's like 3. This is like already like 4 to 5 strides, because typically it's going to be like 1, 2, or this could be the second one in some cases. So this is already like 3 strides, depending on the order. Then if you start him again, that's already like 4 strides into the game. If you do that, but surprise, surprise, I do have 1 mythical Hellsky Beast Fenrir. So that kind of like changes it completely. So with him, I was able to get one of these because I guess people don't really, either they don't really play Genesis enough or they don't really care anymore now that the hype for this guy's kind of died down. But he's still super good. It's probably the best card that came out in the entire set, with the exception of maybe the grade 2 Kotonoha. This card just makes all the plays basically with the grade 1 with him, but he's Fenrir dependent to get the full benefit. So these are probably like the main cards. But Fenrir, the new Fenrir stride is really good, but it does take quite a bit of skill to know when to use it to benefit the most from its ability, from its main phase ability. So there's that. And we kind of made a mess here, but yeah, there's my 1 of him, and then 1 of Dione. People say Dion's terrible, there's no space for her, but in my case, since I am on a budget, I do have space for her. She's good in late game, like if you've already gone through your Vangrendir, your 2 Doombrace, and this guy, assuming the opponent's still alive, you can use this on hit pressure, I guess, but in some cases the second tire might still be better than her, so that's why I'm only running 1. And then I am running the 1 Blizza, because because of the budget. One Seabreeze, again, because of the budget reasons. And then the rest of the G zone is the G Guardians. So 3 Iris. I like this G Guardian so a lot. This is probably one of the best first G Guardians that came out. And then 2 Hanasatsuki. She's the new one. I found myself using her quite a bit actually in this deck because it's pretty easy to get stuff that's on the field, also into the soul because you still charge super fast in this deck. And the last card is one Desmol. Desmol is in here because of this. Desmol this is basically like the Broken Heart from Angel Feather for this deck. So you don't want her to die. She's like your one grade 2 that you want to keep alive. So Desmol's in here just for that reason, to keep her from dying. So that's basically it. The deck may not be as, like, it's almost just as competitive, honestly, as like a fully featured Genesis deck that you'd see in a top 8. The only difference, in my opinion, is the lack of the 2 extra Van Grandiers and maybe a second Fenrir, but I don't really know if you need more than one of these. It's still pretty hard to find. It's pretty pricey. But yeah, that was basically my Fenrir Revelation deck. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what you guys think. Any kind of like tips on like what you would change, if anything. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.